All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, August 27th. Thank you all for joining us at this research forum meeting this morning. We want to thank you for your attendance, and we have some good updates coming from other divisions. And so we again want to thank you for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dye-Hixenbaugh. I am one of the sponsor programs assistant directors in sponsor programs. We are currently in recruitment for 2 other assistant directors, just to let you know. And we have a wonderful new announcement, which is our new director that I am honored to introduce. Patrick Woods has joined us. And Patrick, do you want to say a few words?
Sure. Hello, everyone. So I appreciate you joining us this morning, and I'm excited to be here. For those of you who I haven't met, and I'm sure I will soon enough, I'm Patrick Woods. I started at the end of March and have been diligently onboarding, trying to learn how things work here at UC Davis, and who everyone is and where everyone is, and I'm still trying to learn all of that. It's a lot to take in. Prior to my time here, I spent about 13 years at the University of Michigan Office of Research and Sponsored Projects, leading a team that did everything from proposal submissions. We did all the negotiations of contracts, from data use agreements, clinical trials, everything else that came through from federal flow downs, whatever it was, all went through my team, and I then helped organize them into 4 sub teams, and that's what we're doing here, is getting some sub teams organized. So when Chris says she is actually the one assistant director right now. She said we're recruiting the other 2, and we have great things ahead of us that we're excited to look into and keep working with everyone here on how to keep doing the best we can at SPO for everyone else. But I'm excited to be here and to join everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Patrick. So we're going to hear from someone new this morning that we don't usually hear from. So it's exciting. We have Alaisha Hellman here, the Director of Research Ethics and Compliance Office, and she's going to give us some updates about responsible conduct of research, RCR.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. So just have a short update for you guys on RCR, which for those of you who don't know, it's the training that's required by NIH, NSF, and USDA, NEFA sometimes. So basically, there have been some updates about who's going to be required to take it, and also some subject matter as well. So I'm going to start with NSF. So there was like a newer requirement from July 31st that we did announce to the campus and have been doing, but it has some requirements, and actually it does actually have a certification that this is actually happening. So it is very important that this is happening and it's being done correctly. So this is the policy, the regulation, and unless you're an RCR stan, you're going to look at this and say, okay, I have no idea what those changes are. So what they are is, for NSF, they are actually now including faculty and other senior personnel in this training, which is very different. Before, it was just undergraduates, graduate students, and postdocs. But now this means almost basically everybody has to take this training. Now, in terms of the actual topic of the training, that's taken care of on our end, and how that's required and through city. But some of these, as you can see, because of changes with the NSPM 33 and the Chips and Science Act, they're having specific training requirements and things like export control, research security, and you're going to start seeing those across the federal agencies. So, as I said, it's changed. Now, basically anybody who is funded on an NSF grant on or after July 31st must now take this RCR training. So you're asking, okay, well, how does our office know who is required to take this training? Well, we receive that information from payroll, who sends it to us. So this brings up an issue where we have seen people who we were reaching out to who are saying, what? I'm not working on any NSF grant. Now, I'm sure this is just from having worked at another institution. It's not happening at Davis, that potentially in departments, funding maybe hasn't come through on the grant. And so maybe somebody's getting parked on this certain, just make sure they get paid. They're being parked there until the other grant comes, and then they're going to do some changing at the end of the year when they have to make all those swap arounds. I'm sure that doesn't happen here, and I'm sure these are completely innocent mistakes. But unfortunately, that means these people might be taking an extra 4 or 5 hours of training, because if they're being paid on a grant, they're required to take this training. So what I'm asking you guys is reach out to people in your payroll, people who are doing these transactions, and ensure that they are only paying people on these grants if they're actually supposed to be being paid on these grants, because we don't want to subject people to those 4 or 5 hours of training potentially if they do not have to. So hopefully that's not happening. But obviously we have seen a few people, and I will end up referring them back to the department. And I know another question is going to be, well, who's paying those potentially people for their time? So it could be a bigger issue. Now, I also want to mention NIH is going to be implementing that research security training. It's also one that we've seen DOE has done as well. So in this one, again, it's also one where we're seeing they're requiring all senior or key personnel to take this training. And similar to DOE, they're saying this has to be done within 1 year of the proposal submission. So it's supposed to happen before the proposal is even submitted. And that date is October 1st of this year. So this is, that official announcement. It's and the notice, and where they're saying that they're requiring this. And some of it actually relates to what they're actually calling it is disclosure and other support. But then they've also said that they've actually called out specifically that NSF research security training, which is actually required in our RCR training and is the same one that we use for DOE, fulfills this requirement. And so we do already actually have it up in city. We're not, and so while all the details have not yet been worked out, I'm going to assume how we're gonna determine that is gonna be very similar to collecting that payroll data. So therefore, again, it's also just important as a reminder, making sure that everybody is being paid correctly on those grants. So that's kind of something I just wanted to bring to your guys' attention and make you guys aware, because it's really important that the correct people are taking the training, and we're not having people who don't have to take that training take it if they do not have to. If there's any questions. Nope. All right. Well, if there are, please reach out. And thank you guys. I appreciate your help on this, and making sure that the correct people are taking the training. And I appreciate the community support.
Thank you, Alaisha. I'd hate to be one of those people who's just parked on some grant and have to take a RCR training. And they're not actually doing the project. So now we're going to switch back to Chris Dye-Hixenbaugh for an update on proposals and awards at SPO.
Good morning again. I just wanted to give you a quick update for proposals. Just a heads up that we have some major submission deadlines coming up in the next month. For those of you who do submit to USDA, they have released the USDA NEFA AF recall. There are several submissions throughout September and into October, just as a heads up. And then for the proposal, or for the awards team, please continue to have patience with us as we're trying, being that Patrick and I are the only 2 signers in the office right now. So please continue to have patience with us as we're trying to get through and processing your awards as quickly as we possibly can and get them over to accounting so that they can do their part. So thank you for that. We appreciate your kindness and your grace during this time. If there is something urgent, please let the analysts know so that we can work to see that we can get to that as quickly as possible. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. So there's a question in the chat. I'm not sure who it should be addressed to. Say to asks, is the new NIH security training for new proposals or awards, or for ones that have been granted already?
It is for new ones. For the new starting October 1st. So, but they have to take it within 12 months of that October 1st deadline.
Thanks for the clarity. I got distracted. I thought you were just talking about NSF changes, so thanks for that. All right, so moving on now to contracts and grant accounting with the director, Nicole Tardiff.
Good morning, everybody. We have just a couple topics for you. I'm going to let Lenora jump on. I think she's on here. She's going to do the first part, which is going to discuss the department's role with subcontracts.
Yeah, I'm here.
It's all yours.
Okay, I do have a very brief PowerPoint. So I don't know, Perry, can I share?
You have the power, Lenora.
Oh, I don't want the power, but let's see if I can do this. You would think I'm professional at sharing, but I'm not. So let's do this. Sorry. Okay, so I just wanted to give a brief update announcement on subawards. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that Cayuse does not speak to Aggie Enterprise. The system that is now used for Aggie Enterprise to set up suppliers is managed by supply chain. So it's up to the departments to verify when they're maybe starting the process to get agreements in place for the subawards, to verify that they're active in Aggie Enterprise. If they're not, I have heard that the process can take a little bit of time. So if you're working on this and starting it as the agreement's getting processed, then hopefully once it's finalized, we'll be able to set up the requisition and the PO. Again, the system that supply chain works is PaymentWorks. It's very user-friendly from what I can tell. I don't know, hopefully most of you attended the training. I did put the main top layer for supply chain's KBAs. There's different things on how to invite the supplier to get them set up, how to search and look for them, etc. I see Maureen is asking if there's a KBA for subaward setup. There isn't. I can, I'll work on that, add that to my list. But, you know, it's really important that the departments take on this responsibility as you guys have the communication with the subawardee. CGA staff, really, we have no communication. Our only role with subawards is essentially setting up the PO. So this will hopefully help to speed things along, because the subawardee actually has to fill out information in PaymentWorks once you get it started. So that's all I got.
All right, I'm going to share a slide also, which is not something I do, so surprise. All right, so as I have been promising, we are beginning our closeout process. We have defined the tasks that we need to do, and now we have the tasks that we need the departments to do. The first one is please know your award. When you receive a new award, you should be reviewing the award for terms and conditions. You should know your end dates. They should not be a surprise at the end. We need you to review your expenses. You need to check for allowability. If they're not allowed, please move them off. You need to check for clearing overdrafts. Please clear those off. You should check in with your subawardees to make sure that they have fully invoiced us so you can close the POs. We don't want any open commitments. Cost transfers, both payroll and non-payroll, need to be completed. And then other reports that are required to be submitted to the sponsor need to be done. These tasks all need to be done 30 days before CGA is expected to submit final invoices or final reports. What does that mean? If you have a 120-day close, you have 90 days, we have 30. If it's a 90-day close, you have 60 days, we have 30. We need this time to get all of our documents cleared and submitted on time. This will start to prevent the late submissions. Once we have your documents, we will go through our process. We have several new tasks that weren't part of Koali before that now we have to clear. So once we get through those, we will clear all of the documents. So next, what happens if you don't meet your timeline? Final reports may not be submitted on time. Final invoices may not be submitted on time. We'll do our best to get them submitted, but lateness on your part cannot impact other projects that also have submission dates. Federal drawdowns may become unavailable. Federal departments, they shut off the funding. They're not endless. There's a shut off date. We cannot get those funds without requesting justifications. You will now be responsible for providing those justifications to us as to why the funds were not submitted on time. Unpaid expenses that are a resultant of late documents from the department side will be the responsibility of the department. We will do our best to collect on those, but you'll be required to move those expenses off. Late items creates additional steps for us, for you, for sponsors. We have to reopen projects. We have to request sponsors to reopen POs. It's a lot of work. It actually creates the delay, which creates additional delays, which creates delays for other people. So if we can start bringing this in and sticking to the timeline, I think our delays will start to reduce. It also does impact your risk of future funding from these sponsors. I open it up to questions.
Nicole, there's a question in the chat from Lindsay Dunn saying, we are working on closeouts, but the errors and the indirects are making it very difficult. When will these be fixed?
I would say reach out to us. Let me know which ones they are. We can't fix, I can't help anything fixed unless, oh, my slide didn't change. It did on my side. I apologize.
You had just the first slide showing.
Oh, there is a second slide. I can send it out so people can have it.
Oh, Nicole, this
Yes.
has to do with the natural accounts that are either charging indirects when they shouldn't or not charging. And I know I keep bugging everybody about this, but it's becoming a huge issue for us. It gave us over $1 million in indirects this year that we shouldn't have had. I have several awards in overdraft, and we're trying to calculate cost shares and make sure things are correct to close out. And it's just, when we have hundreds of projects that have these errors, it's becoming very difficult.
Yeah, Lindsay, yours has been in the works. There was a freeze in Aggie Enterprise, which was why it was put on hold. It's in testing right now, but our last meeting to try to get update, there was no ETA for yours because it's a bigger fix for the ones where we have to move it off the structure. And so it has to be tested first to make sure nothing else goes wonky.
I know, and now I know, because now we're in the new year and the new projects are doing the same thing. And I just, because we do a very complex calculation with our cost share splits and it's just really hard on our end. So we're trying to get our closeouts in line to be done, and we have a lot that are ready and they're all pending that. But then again, once that fix happens, it may shift things.
Yeah. You're on our list. I promise. We're trying.
I know the mountain keeps getting bigger. Okay.
So since Lenora was just talking, I think it might be good to go back. There was a question in the chat, Lenora, earlier. Is there a KBA for the subaward setups?
There is not a KBA yet, but I will work on setting one, putting one together. It's on I have a long list of KBAs to do, so it's there.
All right, thanks.
And
then there's another question in the chat. Looks like people are answering it. So I'll just leave that in the chat. Any other questions for Nicole or Lenora?
Oh, it looks like I'm getting a bunch of directs, so I'm just going to answer, if that's okay. So there was a question about small overdrafts, if what our threshold is for closeouts, and it's usually a couple dollars. We haven't necessarily set that yet, but if it's a couple dollars, then yes, we can do a small balance adjustment. Somebody asked about I know in Kowali we had to make sure that all the subaward POs were set up with net. In Aggie Enterprise, I have found out that it's actually the supplier when they fill out their portion and setting up their supplier active in the system, they select what the payment terms is, and that is the payment terms that flow through to the POs. So not sure how we can change that. I have brought it up. So Cece, hopefully that answers your question. And I think that's all of them.
I do have one more question. It's Lindsay again. Sorry, I'm driving, so I can't really type. I have been looking at awards where the conversion of invoices was incorrect because it was like expenses that got converted as an invoice. So we are trying to reconcile our invoices to our expenses because we do our own invoicing. Do you guys have a plan to fix those, or should we just bring them up to you one by one?
I would say if you have, I don't know how you're tracking it or what you have, send a ServiceNow ticket so that, and whatever backup you have, and then that way it can be looked at to see what needs to happen or what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, just a handful. It just was the converted expenses, and they're still in Aggie Enterprise as an invoice. So it looks like we over invoiced, but we didn't. So I'll send tickets.
All right, thanks.
Any additional CGA questions? Any accounting issues you're struggling with? You got the experts right here, right now.
My question would be, do we have any money trees lying around?
Yeah, not since the 40s. All right. Oh. The question has returned. Is there a KBA for the subaward setups? No, there isn't, Cindy, but Lenora is going to be working on developing new KBAs. It's in her queue.
Yep.
I have a quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
So I deal a lot with USDA accounts, and those for the most part are always delayed. I just had one that started in July. I just approved it today, this morning. And the account that ended before that is $40-something thousand in overdraft because we didn't have the new one set up. I have to do all these transfers. This is where it gets a little complicated to get all this stuff done on time because the new awards don't always come in on time or get set up as quickly as we wanted to because everything is being delayed. So what happens then?
So, did you request for an advance if you hadn't got the award? I mean, that would be I think, I guess I would want to ask sponsored programs to chime in on that, but.
Okay. Just start asking for advanced accounts.
Yeah, you can submit an advance account through Cayuse SP, and we can review everything and get it going for you. If it's the rest of the process is taking a while to get set up.
Okay.
I guess do you have an executed award or you're still waiting on it?
No, I just approved it today. But then when I went to add it into, because I just approved it, it probably has to go through the approval process. So when I went to add it to the Finjector, it's saying that it's not, I can't do anything. So I'm going to have to wait until tomorrow or the next day to start, doing all the transfers or whatever. And all the changes. We've been having a lot of problems with facilities too. So even though we changed the account, they continue to use the old accounts. I have an account that I've been trying to clean up for a year and a half. I had it opened. I transferred the expenses because I didn't turn around. And after I verified it, I said, okay, it's fine. It's, it's zero. I assumed it was going to be okay. Then it gets hit again because the extension gave us an extra few days, for everything to clear, which is what should have happened. But then they turned around and put more expenses, and I didn't go back and check to make sure that nothing else had hit it because I had already checked it. So those are the things that I am struggling with.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's unfortunate. I think maybe a broadband email to those who have access to the account to let them know that there should be no expenditures so that you don't have any surprises like that.
Well, those are the facility expenses are automatic. They're not, they don't go through my approval. I wouldn't approve them. Yeah,
Okay.
no, these are just generated automatically. So we've been having problems with that. Maybe we can, I don't know. I was thinking maybe we can have a meeting with facilities, the supervisor and stuff that they need to really, if when we request for the account to be changed, they should not be using that account.
Agreed. Or a notice needs to be sent to them that the account is changing and no longer use that account.
We did.
Mm.
We did notify them. That's the problem. We do notify them and then they continue to use it. And then another problem that we've been bumping into is that they invoice late. They submit the charges. They're way behind in submitting their charges. So then when they come in, we're like, okay, this award is already closed. It's done. So what do we do with issues like that?
I'm not quite sure. I see that Deborah is adding information. I'm not quite sure if your response, Deborah, is to set up a cost share account related to this situation or to another question that is under Maureen.
Sorry, I was answering the questions in the chat. I wasn't really listening. I got distracted.
Okay, so it sounds like what you were answering was specific for Maureen and not this question.
Yeah.
I would have a conversation with the facilities unit and identify the issues that you're having. Unfortunately, sponsored programs doesn't have any control or delegation in those transactions. So I think having that one-on-one conversation with them would be a good start.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted you guys to be aware that sometimes it doesn't always depend on the department. It's just how the expenses come in. And it makes it very complicated when we're not all doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
If one department falls behind, then it's a domino effect. Everybody gets behind.
Snowballs quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm just gonna do advanced accounts moving forward, and that's gonna be my best bet. I mean, the thing about this is that the USDA accounts are every year, and some of them are just months, and so it's a lot of work.
Mhm. Well, and this year is a unique one, as we all know, with the new administration that we have at the federal government, that there's been a lot of delays in a lot of areas with the federal funding.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's another
That's been
thing.
hard to deal with as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
So questions are flying in the chat, but I see most of them are getting answered. But I just want to point one out to Nicole. Someone wrote, Nicole, that perhaps you should mention this in your leadership meeting so that leadership is aware.
Yeah, I just responded. I actually don't meet with facilities, so I would have no way to actually reach the people that are the ones causing that issue. But I will pass the information along. I don't have much pull over facilities, so it's a bit in the gray area. As far as extending the award, oh, I see Lenora was responding, so there you go. Okay.
So one question that hasn't been answered is how long should it take for an advance account to be set up?
Those are done at SPO.
Yes.
Yeah.
The advance accounts are done through sponsored programs, but it has to be submitted through the Cayuse SP. And it's important to make sure that the approver for the funding for advance is the one who's signing the advance account, because we cannot process it until we have finalized the processing of it, until we have the signatures on the request. And if your dean's office is required to sign off, they also need to sign it as well. So it's important to know. And then usually I would say within a week, we're trying at least.
And higher up in the chat, I put a link to some guidance on
Yes, that
how
was
to
great.
request an advance account.
Thank you, Perry, for doing that.
I don't know the answer to that 20,000, 2,700 funds. Lenora, do you know?
Well, if they're associated to award, it should be on a PPM project, not just the GL. So I'm not.
Do you know if 700 are sponsored or not sponsored? But
I can
PPM?
clarify a little bit. I know that there was some issue where expenses, like I guess facilities is an example, where if the project expired and the task was no longer active, it would just post to the GL. Like they would just continue pushing it through onto the GL level of that project.
The only
So obviously
projects
that wouldn't be
should-
reflected in.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Any project that's in PPM would not be posting. I mean, certain entries will go to the GL.
It would,
But-
so they would put in the default project, just zeros, and then post it to the 20,000 fund. So like I've been I've just been keeping an eye on it and clearing things off with, just moving it off, but I'm sure other departments aren't aware that this is happening. So I wanted to make sure that I knew there was a plan in the works to stop that from happening. So I just wanted to make sure that it happened.
I'm still not really following. I'm sorry.
Hi, I just wanted to add to what Rachel and Adriana are saying. It's happening not just with facilities, but with all boundary applications. So, recharge units on campus, such as reprographics, fleet, facilities, air gas, things like that. They will be given a project number from the department, and then the department will let them know, hey, the project number is changing as of 10/1. But that boundary department, that recharge unit might not make the change in their systems. So the next month when they go to do a recharge, and sometimes they're late, so they're recharging from 6 months ago instead of monthly. These used to be called GLIBs in KFS, General Ledger Internal Billings. They do go automatically. They do not route past the account manager for approval. So if one of those recharge units goes in and tries to use a project that is closed, they will, I don't know if it does this automatically or if those entry people put in default projects, so they'll put in 10 zeros. It'll still be on an extramural fund source, like in the 2 series, but it will not have a project, and it will live at the GL level. So we'll have an expense on a federal fund at the GL level. And when we were doing fiscal close this year, campus did kind of catch that and make an announcement that said, check your default projects, do a inquire on detail balance or a GL report against your default projects with an extramural fund, and see if there's any expenses that need to be moved into the project, and that would move it into PPM. But it is a huge issue, and we're thinking in our college, we're thinking that it's sort of a lack of training on the part of the recharge units.
Yeah,
The
sounds
people
like
that do those entries aren't realizing how important the chart string is. Like you can't just, if it doesn't work, you can't just say, well, I'll just put in zeros. You know, you have to reach out
I
to the
think you're
department.
exactly right, yeah.
So that, I think that's what Rachel was getting at.
Rachel, you want to confirm?
Yeah, that's exactly the issue we're having.
Okay. Okay, so somebody needs to talk to the recharge units. I can't remember who that is that's in charge of that training, but I will try to contact somebody. Cause yeah, they should not just be zeroing out a project that we completely lose
Is
track
there
of where
still going to
that.
be a plan to block all like non-PPM transactions to the sponsored fund sources, since there's no scenario that that should ever happen? So
Well,
is that
as soon as
still
we
in, like in
close
the
out,
works?
as soon as we close out, that we'll shut down the project and nothing else will post there.
Deborah, I was told, because we were having that same issue and we had to do a lot of cost transfers for fiscal close. And I was told that there was a CBR rule or a validation rule done for the boundary applications for the recharges and for feeds. So it should be in place. It was put in place maybe early August or late July. So if everyone can look at your ledgers, and you shouldn't be getting additional expenses to the sponsored award funds without a sponsored PPM project.
So you think it's already handled? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay, they put a safety in place to stop that from happening
correct.
as of August. Perfect.
But you still have to clear all the ones from January of 2024 to now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It's hard to understand how they would think it would get where it needs to go if they zero it out.
But I also agree with Tara that there's a lack of training or I don't know, accountability or
Yeah,
Or
I'll still
in-
try to contact the person that does the training for the boundary systems.
yeah, thank you.
So in the chat, I see there's more information about the 20,000, 2,700 funds. And I'm wondering if anyone from CGA needs to provide additional input on that, or if that is addressed.
Which question are you referring to, Barry?
Well,
20,000.
yeah, it's the one you addressed, but then Michael Webster wrote, shouldn't it go to the DKO instead? And Rachel added, it posts to the default project rather than the DKO. And then Michael said, yes, I understand, but in theory, it should post to the DKO.
Well, if they put it to the project instead of to the 000, then if it can't post to the project, it will go to the DKO.
Yeah, but in this case, it doesn't go to the DKO because
Because
it's,
they were zeroing it out though, right?
it's not pushing the expenses to PPM. They stay in the GL. Because there's not a PPM project being recognized. There was not a PPM project being recognized, so it really never goes to the PPM.
So you
The
have to reverse
DKO
that to
functions.
GL.
Sorry?
We have a way to, well, I don't know if I want to volunteer us, but we'll have to figure out. If it's gone to the GL already, I think we have to do a transfer and take it out of the GL and put it in PPM. The correct project. That's the only choice. So you'd have to do a cost transfer form from PPM to GL.
From GL to PPM,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I meant.
But
Yeah,
also, you know, you need to find the correct project because there are
right. Yeah, it's
many
hard to find it
projects.
when there's no information there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know.
So A has her hand up. A, what's your name? It just
Adriana.
shows. I'm sorry?
Adriana.
Okay, great.
So, so I know that moving forward, we have to, request an advanced account or whatnot. But what about the ones that we still have to clean up? Because I have one that I need to clean up. These expenses were from June of 2024 that hit an account that had been open for me to clear, and then it hit it, and now I have to move it. I've moved some of it, but I still have more. And now the one that I need to move to, that was a continuation account, it was just closed. So like you guys said, and I completely understand that it creates a lot of work for everybody. But what's going to happen to those accounts? I submitted a ticket for it to get reopened, but it hasn't been done yet.
When did you submit that ticket?
About a week ago.
Okay, can you send me the ticket?
Yeah, I'll send you the ticket. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lindsay, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I didn't have a question, more just knowledge sharing from experience with closeouts, kind of going back to that. And because I had to request residual be moved and I was told it had to go to a PPM project and you guys couldn't move to a GL. So I just thought maybe that'd be a good thing to quickly talk about so everybody knows. Because like in my case, I didn't have a department project set up to receive that income. So I have to request that from campus and get that all situated before we can do closeout. So I thought that'd be good for everybody else to know in case they also need to prep for that.
We are able to move to a project that's not in PPM. Previously, we did not have guidance that we were able to do that, but recently we received guidance that we can do that.
Okay, so we can give you a GL chart string now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Well, that was a flurry of good questions. Tara, your hand's up?
Yeah, one more CGA related thought. I get so much support when I go to CGA office hours. And I really appreciate the one-on-one attention that happens in the CGA office hours. So I wanted to say thank you for that. But it seems like it's a lot of work to do these one-on-ones in office hours, and KBAs don't often address every nuanced question. I wonder if CGA has a plan. When we were in KFS, we had classes where 50 people would gather, and like Lenora, I went to a few of Lenora's classes years ago. I wonder if CGA has a plan for the future of having in-person or Zoom classes again, where you can, have a population of 50 people and talk about closeout. And, I think that would be really helpful. As we know, learners learn different ways, and KBAs are all written, and some people learn by doing, by hearing, by reading. I just think in-person or Zoom trainings around managing sponsored funds would be amazing. And I know we can't hop in and start that now, but maybe it can be a goal for the future.
It is on our radar. It is on our radar. We have to get our trainings updated, and then we will start getting some out.
We're only lacking resources and people.
Yeah, I know. You guys are doing an amazing job. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, we got approval to hire, and then hiring freeze happened, and so our hiring didn't happen, and so we'll get there.
So any questions anyone's been holding close to their chests, and now's a great time to ask it. If not, I'm going to proceed to my agenda item, which is, as usual, upcoming classes. So I just put in the chat our upcoming classes. Next week, we have a class on Cayuse 424. And right now, we only have 6 people enrolled. So that class is in danger of being canceled if we don't have more interest. And so the Cayuse 424 training is going to go step by step through preparing a proposal for submission to most federal sponsors through Cayuse 424, which is our system-to-system solution used to submit proposals for federal opportunities that are offered in grants.gov. And the training will also cover Cayuse professional profiles because those are housed in Cayuse 424, and they contain information that auto-populates into both Cayuse SP and Cayuse 424 proposals. So then the following week, so that Cayuse 424 class is on Thursday, September 4th from 9 to 12. And the following week, we have a proposals lab, which is on Thursday, September 11th from 9 to 12 at the same time. And the proposals lab puts into practice content learned in 2 prerequisite classes, the proposal preparation and submission class, which you can take as an e-course, and the Cayuse 424 class, which you could take as an e-course or take it the prior week as an instructor-led training over Zoom. And then we'll take that content that you learned and you'll review a sponsor's RFA, you'll complete an IPF in Cayuse SP, and then you'll have more practice completing a proposal in Cayuse 424. So if those are of interest to you, you can find the registration links and additional details at the link that I put in the chat. And that's all I have for you. Are there any questions for me or for anyone who has presented this morning, or any research administration questions? This is your opportunity to get those questions off your chest and to feel lighter and walk through the day with like you're floating in a cloud. Maureen.
Hey, so I was trying to take some of the classes, which I had probably classes from a long time ago, and some of them require prerequisites. If we email you, could we somehow get into the classes that require prerequisites?
Well, it depends. You're saying you took the class, the prerequisite class a long time ago? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, you could email me, and then I would have to connect with HR Learning and Development to be able to give you access to take that class. But yeah, reach out to me, Maureen, and we can figure that out.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And my email is pking@ucdavis.edu. Any other questions for the good of the order? Lucas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Conflict of interest forms. So we have a single patient IND agreement that we're going to be submitting to the material transfer office. And we're wondering if we need to submit COIs if it's just a drug that's being supplied to a single patient, kind of for compassionate use.
So the question is whether that's human subjects research or not.
No, if we need to do the conflict of interest forms for the investigators.
Well, the conflict of interest forms, I'll put a website that has information on when you need to complete those, or when an investigator needs to complete those. So just give me a moment to find that. Someone else asked a question, so I got time to do this. Thank you, Alyssa.
Did you want me to ask my question?
Yeah.
Oh,
Please.
sorry. I thought you were in the middle of something. So going back to new subaward supplier setups, I just want to make sure I understand, because this was definitely news to me. So if CGA is setting up the purchase order, you know, for the subaward, if the supplier has not been set up, I'm assuming it's discovered. If it hasn't been discovered previously, it's discovered when they're trying to set up, you know, the PO for the subaward. Have you been notifying people when it's like, hey, this needs to be dealt with? They're not set up as a supplier. What's the communication around that?
Yes, so the grant administrator, when they have that in their queue to process and the supplier's not in there, they'll reach out to the project manager to request them to set it up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I did my advice was just to you know, if you happen to start that process when the subaward is being, the agreement is being started, because from my understanding, it's taking a little while on all steps. So that was mainly my ask or share, I guess. But yes, if the supplier's not in there, the grant administrator is reaching out to the project manager to set that up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and I know the supplier setups can take a while. Sometimes it seems like they do it pretty quickly, and then other times it can take a couple of weeks. So
yeah.
And I think it also depends on how quickly, you know, with the payment works, the supplier, in this case, the subaward institution, they're not always fast on
Exactly
doing their part of it. And so that sometimes the lag is one that we don't have a whole lot of control over, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's part of the reason, like, you know, we're kind of having the departments, because you guys would get the invoices, right? And you would be like, well, you haven't done your part. We can't process this invoice until you know, so it's like,
yeah.
But, and definitely CJ will check in payment works to see if it's en route or if it's in status, you know, etc. But yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure, Lucas, you see that I also added a second page with conflict of interest guidance. If you scroll down that page, there's some helpful info.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you have additional questions, reach out to the Research Ethics and Compliance Office, RECO.
Okay, sounds great.
So Michael asks, is there an update on the fix to health emails for PI's approval subcontract invoices? Yeah, that the health emails are creating a whole bunch of issues all over the place, but specifically on subcontract invoices, does anybody have an answer?
That is with the Aggie Enterprise team. I feel like there's been some movement because there's been a lot of issues with the award feeds coming over, because some of the emails in Caillou still have at UC Davis, and they've been updated in Aggie Enterprise as at Health. So the feeds aren't coming through, and we've been having issues, but you'll want to reach out to or submit a ticket or reach out to the Aggie Enterprise service delivery team, because I'm not sure what's happening with that. Office hours is at 10, and I believe they have a breakout room. I'll share that tidbit.
Thanks, Lenora. So Lisa asks, how do we get access to Payment Works?
You'll have to work with supply chain. I thought when they did the trainings or they had a Zoom meeting to show the process. I thought everybody had like if you have access to AE or whatever, but you can reach out to supply chain to ask. The KBAs on how to verify suppliers. I put it in my slide deck, but let me put the individual ones. Hold on a second. Actually, Cindy's asking on the KBA for suppliers. If you just go to KBAs and look under supply chain, they have a section for supplier management. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Perry.
No, no, no. I was just going to ask another question to give you time to look that up. And then I see someone's entering info about access to Payment Works.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
So great. This was a very busy chat, a lot of interesting questions, and we welcome all of your questions. Thank you for asking all of those. Hopefully you got all your questions answered. Anybody have any last questions before we part ways? No? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And this chat and all the links and the presentations will be on the forum webpage. I put the link to it at the very beginning of this session, so you'll find everything there tomorrow. Thank you all, and have a good day.